And without data centers, growth in the country would have been almost zero. Now, Prince George's County just came out with a plan as to address how and where to locate data centers. But keeping in mind that it takes 10 years to create data centers and get the proper transmission lines, why are we pushing, it seems like, all of this investment to Virginia, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and not recognizing that down the road, we're going to need these things?
It's interesting. I was actually talking to some folks, some representatives I know, one of our county's engineering firms, who are helping to kind of address these issues between the data centers and the communities where they're proposing to go. And I thought their insights were interesting in that they acknowledged that early on, these data centers got dropped every place. And if you go through Northern Virginia, you will see them everywhere. And they are right next to neighborhoods, they're right next to facilities, and it's ugly. And so I think that, but I think even there, people are recognizing that it's important to understand, one, I think the scale of data centers, the magnitude and the number of data centers that we're going to have, and then how do you put this into a community and make this work, recognizing how necessary they are. And I think that balance is trying to get achieved. But I think in typical in Maryland fashion, we're of course swinging our pendulum as far to the other side as we possibly can and try to take all of those things into account, which of course is going to be a hindrance to getting any of them done.
Well, I mean, here's what I fear, Mike, and it's mostly because I fear that down the road we are putting ourselves at risk for being locked out of tech investment. I mean, if the biotech industry, which is the golden goose of Montgomery County, can't get enough data and data centers, they will relocate somewhere else. The presence of NIH, will no longer be the attraction. They will move somewhere else, and 10 years down the road, our job base is going to have disappeared.
Well, and I think you've said this before on this program, that looking at our energy requirements and the energy strategy to ensure that those energy requirements can keep pace with not just the data centers, but just the general population, has got to go hand in hand with that, and to make sure if we don't have the energy investment, if we don't have the data center investment, we're not going to be in a position to compete. And I think it's a very real fear. And when you look at the lack of job growth we've seen over the last 5 years in the state, it kind of continues to reaffirm that. And so how do we put policies in place that recognize we need to safeguard communities to some degree, but also allow for us to be in a position to take advantage of this booming industrial element that we're not taking advantage of today?
Look, we have to find a way to have high-paying jobs in this county. I mean, if you look at the average price of housing in this county, it's astonishing. Every new development that comes online, just like the one at the police training center, where they're coming online with 82 townhomes, they're all over $1 million. They're $1.5 million for these new townhomes. We can't. It's not sustainable for our population if we don't have a well-funded economic base.
No, it's true, and it's both the good-paying jobs, and it's also having a supply of housing. If you don't have a supply of housing, you can't get there from here. You're not going to bring the cost of housing down by not building any housing.